What's up everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the 2024 Mazda CX-90 Premium Plus package. This model is finished off in rhodium white premium. MSRP is just over 58 grand. And this is powered by the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, also paired with the electric system and the 17.8 kilowatt lithium ion battery. It's also paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission, and it pumps out 323 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. That power sent through the all-wheel drive system, propelling this 5,200 pound plug-in hybrid from 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds. Top speed is 128 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 18.5 gallons. You'll expect to see around 24 miles per gallon in the city, 27 out on the highway. This also has a total EV range of 26 miles, and its overall wheelbase is 122.8 inches. Its length is 201.6. It has a width of 77.6 and a height of 68.2 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for the all-new CX-90, let's start off with the massive grille. So for the lower section of the grille, that surround is finished off in chrome. The sensor is right in the middle, which is also the Mazda logo. Camera just underneath that. Plenty of cutouts to provide a lot of cooling. There's also some parking sensors integrated into that grille as well. Now what's really cool about the lower surround, it goes all the way up and surrounds the LED turn signals and DRLs. So those are housed right in between that chrome trim piece. Very nice integration to see. Of course, this has LED headlights and high beams as well. There's a few sensors in the body colored portion of that bumper, more chrome in the lower section, as well as another inlet. And there's even some inlets on the far edges of the bumper, just to provide a little bit more aerodynamics. Has a very nice design to it, two lines that come down the hood as well, meeting the top of that bumper there very nicely. Now as we work our way to the side, this has a set of 21-inch wheels, finished off in a two-tone design, matches very nicely. Now there is plastic for the fender arches. It's in that lower corner of the bumper too, and then works its way down the side of the vehicle, where there is another chrome accent with Mazda in the back. And then being a plug-in hybrid, we have that badge just behind that front tire. Now this does have body colored side mirrors with the camera system, turn signal. This has a moonroof up top, more chrome accents surrounding the roof racks, as well as the upper trim for those windows. And then being a 3-row SUV, has a very nice design to it, very proportional for how long it is. In back, this has a body colored spoiler, third brake light, wiper blade in the lower section, has a backup camera, LED taillights, all of the parking sensors, more chrome in that lower section to match the rest of the exterior, and it can even tow right around 3,500 pounds. So if you have some smaller trailers or smaller equipment, you can hook it up to this and still have a practical and usable SUV. Now as we work our way to the cargo space, you can use the button on the key fob or the one up underneath the Mazda badge, and it's power operated of course. And even with the third row up at the moment, check out the amount of space that is available. It's not a whole lot, but it's definitely very nice and helpful to have if you have people in the third row. Now being a plug-in hybrid, you have an area to store that, a little bit of storage on that right side if you need to utilize that. And then the third row is very easy to fold down. Simply just pull on this strap. It's a little bit easier to do with two hands, but just like that, you have a lot of space. So if you don't need that third row, you can utilize this for extra storage, and you can fold down the second row too. So that gives you a lot more interior space. And we also have some auxiliaries on both sides that you can use as needed. Now up top, you can close the vehicle, you can close and lock it with that button on the left side. And as we work our way to the back seats, there's no sensor on the door handle, so you would have to use the key fob or unlock from the front door there. But for this door panel, finished off in black leather with all the stitching, really nice trim design just above that with some brushed aluminum accents. This does have a adjustable sunshade, so you can use that as needed. And then there's a little bit more storage down in the lower section. Now that two-tone design works its way to these seats, where we have the leather with the stripe and all of the stitching to give it a nice look. Now for the CX-90, you can get this as an 8-seater or a 7-seater. It is a no-cost option to go with the captain's chairs. However, you do lose that middle seat if you decide to go this route. Now as we work our way to the third row, simply just pull this tab by the headrest, and then you can slide that seat forwards, just depending on how you have that front seat there, of course. And at 5'10", that gives me access to hop into the back. Now this is a 3-row bench for your 3rd row passengers. There's an auxiliary, some cup holders. I have a good bit of space. You can move the captain's chairs forward. So if I need a little bit more room, you can make that accommodative for your 3rd row passengers. Now my head is just up against the headliner. So honestly, I could ride around in the back here, be comfortable, maybe a small road trip, definitely around town. So it makes it very practical. For 3 people in here, you might want to have some smaller kids, but it's definitely doable if you need this extra space. Now there's quite a big pillar right there, but we have large windows on both sides. So it does make it easy to see around as needed. And then from there, we just grab the seat, we can push it backwards. It won't go all the way back, but we can use that bar there to further slide this back. So once we have it in that position, plenty of legroom up front. There's storage pockets, air vents. These are even heated captain's chairs too. And we have all the climate adjustments. So fan speed, temperature, where you would like the air to go. And then again, 5'10", if I recline this seat, I have no complaints. We have the captain's chairs with the adjustable armrest, so you can lock those into place. This is definitely where you want to be for this Mazda. And then down below, there's a cup holder storage area. You can actually fold this out of the way. So if you want to use this to enter and exit without moving the seats, and then you need the cup holders, you can easily bring that back up. And as we move on to the front doors now, door panel is just like the rear, of course. However, there's all the window adjustments, side mirror controls, lock and unlock. Everything else is identical with the trim accents and the storage down below. Up front, same design for the seats. They are automatic, so all of those adjustments are down on the side. And as we move on to the steering wheel, it's solid black. On this left side, there's volume and tuning along with Bluetooth controls, info button. On the right side, there's cruise and distance pacing, and you have different settings to adjust that. Now let's fire this up. It is in the EV setting at the moment. And then for this gauge cluster, over on the left side, there's the charge and power meter. Right side, you will notice fuel in the lower section. And then for the EV system, you do have another fuel range basically for that battery, along with some averages located right in the middle. And then if I use the info button on the left side of the steering wheel, you can actually go through some more information over on that right side. So we have a calm screen. We're back to those settings I just showed. There's some engine temperature. You have the iActive Sense status, so you can basically monitor all these safety features, blind spot, everything like that. And then there's a compass as well. That is all that you can do for the gauge cluster, but it's nice that you have a little bit of info that you can go through. This also has steering wheel mounted paddle shifters too, so you can use those as needed. And then over on the left side of the steering wheel, there's memory seating adjustments. You can open and close the rear hatch. There's the safety sense, your parking sensors, traction control, and then you can open up the fuel cap. There's one air vent. This even has the head-up display. Currently it's just showing miles per hour, as well as the lane keeping assist for cruise control as well. And this also has the pedestrian detection and the vehicle cross-traffic alert. All of that will pop up on the head-up display too. And then right in the middle, we have the infotainment system, which is not a touchscreen system. So in order to go through that, all the controls are laid out very nicely down below. Where you have shortcuts, you can get into navigation, you can get into music. There's also the home icon, and then there's adjustments for favorites, power and volume, and tuning for the audio. So by going through all of this, we'll start at the top with information. You can go into this and check out all of this as needed. There's also a back arrow, so we can get back to here. If we go into entertainment, that is for the audio, of course. You have your phone, so you can pair that as needed. We have the navigation, as you just saw, so just another way to get into it. And then various settings that you can go in and monitor. It's actually a pretty intuitive system once you get used to it not being a touch screen. So it took me a little bit of time just to get with the user face here, but once I got it down, it's pretty easy to use. It is very far from the driver, so it does make sense to have all of these controls down below. Underneath that, there's more leather, and then it comes back to 2 air vents in the middle. And underneath that, this even has heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, climate adjustments for driver and passenger. So when you turn on the fan speed there, you can easily adjust those as needed. We have the rear climate controls as well that you can go through and adjust as needed. Defrosters, everything's laid out very nicely. Now there is a wireless charging pad down below along with a 12 volt. And then on the right side, you have 2 cup holders. So you can open those as needed. On the left side, these are for the different driving modes. So this has sport, normal, EV. There's even an off-road setting too, if you'd like to take this Mazda off the pavement. There's also another control right here. That is for the battery charge target. So basically you can go in and adjust that as needed. And then to put this vehicle into drive, you'll notice with the shift pattern here, park is on the left side. To go into reverse, simply just go over to the right. We have that 360 backup camera system where you can use the rotary dial to go through the different angles. And then to go into drive, simply just push it straight back. Forward-facing camera will now appear. And now we have a few different angles to go into, just depending on the visibility that you need. And then park is going to be all the way to the left there. Now this also has a downhill assist control and then a shortcut to the camera system, so you can push that on and off. E-brake and auto hold is just behind that. And then looking at the center armrest, this has a split style with 2 different buttons to open that up. There's some auxiliaries and a good bit of space. And then the glove box has plenty of room for all of that information. Now up top, there's dome lights. There's also a sunglass holder, which I know a lot of people like. And we do have the controls for the sunshade and the sunroof. That will go to about the headrest in the back seats there, or the second row. And as far as the visibility goes, definitely easy to see in both directions. It's a long vehicle, but there's a lot of glass to give you that visibility that you need. As we set off now behind the wheel for the all-new CX-90. So this does replace Mazda's CX-9. That is a 3-row SUV as well. However, it is not a plug-in hybrid like this CX-90. So we have some new technology being integrated into this full-size 3-row SUV. And I've been driving it for a few days. I think this is a really nice vehicle to go with. MSRP is right around 58 grand for this model. However, this is the highest trim level. So you can get into this closer to that $50,000 range. And for that price, this is a competitor to the Ford Explorer Hybrid, the Toyota Highlander Hybrid. There's also the Volvo XC90 and a few others in this category of being 3-row plug-in hybrids. So you have a lot of options out there for this Mazda. I will say it's a little bit more on the basic side. We have a lot of standard safety technology, however, but we don't have the touchscreen system. We don't have a lot of that excess, I guess you can call it, but we have a really nice vehicle, very nice ride. I like all of the materials. It's been driving incredibly nice. I love how comfortable and quiet this is. And it's just a normal, everyday, daily driving type of SUV. So I think it's a really good option to put on your list, just depending on what you're looking for out of your SUV. Now, as far as the driving modes go, let's put this into sport mode. And we can use these paddle shifters here. So we are down into second gear. Here we go. Not crazy fast, but the paddle shifters are very responsive. So that was impressive to see. And I'll put it into EV right now. We do have a low charge on the EV system, so I won't be able to do much with that today. However, I've been in a lot of plug-in hybrids, having about that 26 to 30-ish miles on just the EV system. And I think it's a really, really nice combination between just strictly gas and just strictly having an electric vehicle. Let's put it into normal though real quick. There's definitely a difference between normal and sport mode. So if you need that extra throttle response, it's nice that you have functional driving modes for this. But back to the hybrid system, I think it's really, really cool technology to see. And as you can tell, it's starting to be incorporated into more SUVs. And with the hybrid system, it just gives you that added benefit. You get more MPG, you get a better range. You also can just have strictly the EV system. Now, like I mentioned, it's not going to be as good as a strict EV, but it's very nice to have parking lot situations. Just in general, if you need that extra bit of range, you can have that charged up and ready to go. And so for the price, I think this is in that ballpark range for hybrid SUVs like the Highlander, like the Explorer. So it's not out of the norm for its pricing. And so you can still get that technology without going to some other more luxury brands that still have plug-in hybrids. But for the 3-row, this is going to be about the price range you're looking at for this setup. And so from sport mode, second gear, here we go. Now, like I said earlier, this is not trying to be a performance-oriented vehicle, but it's interesting when you give it a little bit of gas, it says boost underneath the gear that you are in, and it has some get up and go. It's very peppy. That hybrid technology definitely gives it that added torque that you need, so I don't think it's underpowered by any means. And the paddles are pretty responsive too, which is nice to see. So if you'd like to use them, they are there. And so now that we are behind the wheel from this angle for this almost $60,000 Mazda, I will say it's a very nice interior. It is on more of the simple side if that's something that you like. I'm not saying that's a negative by any means. Everything is laid out incredibly well, super easy to use. My one downside would be that the infotainment system is not a touch screen. However, from previous Mazda reviews, I think I've seen comments where Apple CarPlay, Android Auto does make it a touchscreen system. If that's the case, it's interesting to see that nothing else is touchscreen. I haven't tested that, I haven't hooked up my phone to it, but I believe that is correct. So I would like to see the rest of it be a touchscreen system. I feel like all the tech and the availability to do that is there. It's easy to use everything else, but that's the one thing that I will note about this. I wish that was a touchscreen system. Everything else though is laid out very well. So there's nothing else that can really ding it on. We have the sunglass holder, which I know a lot of people do like. A lot of vehicles don't have that, but it's a nice interior. For almost 60 grand, it's a good option when you compare it to the competitors that I've mentioned earlier. And it's a really nice ride. I haven't had any issues with road noise, wind noise. It does provide you with a nice, comfortable, and smooth ride. So it is enjoyable to drive. And you have tons of space. I like the fact too that you can get the 7 or 8 seater, so it is configurable for your style and what you prefer having for your 3-row SUV. And I think that's going to wrap it up for the all-new 2024 Mazda CX-90. We have the plug-in hybrid. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.